Hey everyone, welcome to the Vienna Whyte Roundtable, Season 1, Episode 21. I'm your host, Millie Rouge from the band Vienna Whyte here in Edmonton, Alberta. This roundtable is a YEG music production. Today we have two guests here that I'm super excited to have on. Can you introduce yourself, Chris?
Sure thing. My name's Chris Zimmerman. I'm from Ottawa, Ontario, and I'm the singer-songwriter in the band Chris Zimmerman and The Weather, and a session drummer with a whole bunch of bands around Ottawa.
Awesome. And Olivia?
Hey, my name is Olivia Rose. I'm a country musician from Elk Point, Alberta, tiny town, but I also reside here in Edmonton now.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you guys both for being on today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to switch screens here. Beautiful. So what I wanted to do is I really wanted to quickly do a quick 2-minute introduction about you guys as artists so that our audience can kind of know a little bit kind of from where you started to where you are today and how you got to that process.
Well, it's been a long journey for sure. I've been doing music full-time for about 10 years now, but only singing for the last actually it's been about 5 years now. So I started out just as a drummer from about 2010 till about 2015, 2016 before I started learning cover songs and singing in pubs and learning some simple guitar chords. And in 2018, I released my first original music EP, and yeah, I did a tour across the country. Did a show with YEG Music there, and yeah. No, I'm
Fantastic.
here.
Awesome. That's great. You're like, now I just flew back there. That's amazing. And Olivia, can you tell us about your incredible journey so far?
Yeah, basically, I've been performing since the time I could toddle around, but I've been in the more professional side of things, going to conferences and all that kind of stuff since I was about 10 years old. So that's 10 years for me as well. I think the first time I got into a studio was 13 years old with a song that I wrote. And it's been quite incredible, actually. I've had very, very supportive parents, and this is the first year I'm living on my own. My mom actually moved up here to Edmonton with me when I was 14 years old, so I could continue my music career, because can't do that from a tiny town. And yeah, so I've been performing, writing, recording, and doing radio tours and performances probably steady since I was 14 years old.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, you've had quite the career. And I mean, that's amazing that you started at 10 years old. I think that's very, very impressive.
I'm only 20 now, so I can still do this for another 10 years.
That's true. You have so much time. That's amazing. Well, thank you both so much for giving a little background on to who you guys are as artists. Beautiful. So we are going to jump into our topic of the day, which is sustaining a career in music. So I don't think I could have any two better guests to have on than you two, as you both have your great years of experience. So my first question I kind of wanted to open up with, and just this can be from your guys' experience or kind of, anything you've heard from other artists as well. But what is your definition of success, and when do you feel an artist reaches that point? Maybe do you want to start off, Olivia?
Sure. Yeah, I've definitely gotten this question before, and I've had lots of conversations with artists about this question. Basically, the consensus that I've come to with this question is it's really very personal about how success is defined as an artist for yourself. Some people, it's releasing their first album, and that's it. That's all they want to do. They just want to get the music out there. For me, I like to categorize it as little successes. So for me, that was releasing my first single, going on my first radio tour, opening for somebody incredible like Brett Kissel, Aaron Pritchett. And so I like to kind of have those little checks, because it can get very overwhelming if your only idea of success is performing at thousands in an arena, because there's so many building blocks that you have to use to get to that point. And of course, yes, I would love to perform for thousands in an arena. And of course, that is a long-term goal of mine. But for me, I just love performing, and I love writing and getting my music out there. Honestly, my idea of success is when I release a song and I have all of these incredible people on Instagram or at the radio stations telling me how much they love it and how that's impacted their lives. But yeah, little successes is how I kind of focus on.
I love that. That's really cool. And I think that's super important to have that mindset, because it's, like you said, it's very exhausting to constantly be like, okay, I want to be this big Taylor Swift superstar. How do I do it? Right? You really do. Like even Taylor Swift, for example, had to start small. I don't think, maybe she did think this way, but I don't think she thought she would ever get to the success level that she's gotten to
Yeah,
so quickly.
and she's an incredible businesswoman, so I'm sure she
True
knows.
she knows, yeah. And Chris, what's your definition of success, and how do you think artists can define that for themselves?
Well, honestly, Olivia, you put it pretty well. How I was gonna also say little things here and there, like to kind of keep you going. Not the end goal in sight, but having little accomplishments along the way, and just having your own goals. I like to keep things interesting, I guess. Being a drummer and guitar player.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And always trying to do something new. Like in 2018, my goal was I was turning 30 at the end of the year, and I wanted to play a show in I played a show in all the territories with another band and on the East Coast, and I wanted to play a show in all the Western provinces, which I haven't done yet before I turned 30. And that was my 2018 goal. So I went out and did that, and I felt good about it. It was my first big tour, so I'd made very little money, like negative a bunch.
Yeah, that's the tour life.
Exactly. But the goal wasn't to make money, so
yeah,
it was an accomplishment. Good. And it's all to me. It's all about building. It's like, what did you do to better your art? What you're doing to make yourself a better musician, to put yourself at a slightly higher level than where you were. Yeah, and it's just all about those little things.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, because you went quite far across Canada. What did you learn from playing in so many different places compared to just playing in Ottawa? What's maybe something like the biggest thing you took from that tour?
The biggest thing I took from the tour is that this country is huge. I spent most of my time driving.
Yeah. Sitting on your butt the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the biggest thing I could have taken, and it surprised me every time I got to a new city, it kind of felt similar, because the level of shows I was playing, it was multi-band bills with all local talent, and Ottawa being a pretty small music scene, everyone kind of has each other's back, and I kind of felt that in most of the cities I went to across the country. I kind of felt like Ottawa music, Canadian music, Edmonton music. It's all we're all kind of boosting each other up instead of trying to tear each other down. I guess
the Canadian music scene is everyone in Canada is so supportive of each other. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's because we all know, like, it's not that we have less opportunities, but if you're in the States, I feel like you could definitely take advantage of a little bit more opportunities that maybe we don't have as much. Like, I don't know exactly what it is, but maybe it's just the nature of being a Canadian in general. We're all just very nice. That could be it, but we'll go with that one. That's awesome. Okay, now my next question for you guys. What do you think are the biggest mistakes that artists make when they're trying to create their career in music and being successful, quote unquote? Chris, do you maybe want to start this one off? What do you think are some ways, or and I know there's really no mistakes because you always learn kind of from your experiences, but what kind of wrong turns, or, maybe ways they can avoid going down the wrong path, if that makes sense?
I guess, I guess always be true to yourself is the one thing I would say on that. I feel like sometimes people want to push themselves in a genre that they don't necessarily enjoy, because it might be part of popular culture a bit more than what they enjoy playing, and that's great. Like if you have a good business mind, and you know how to get to that level in that genre, that's great. But it could also lead to you getting bitter, and if you don't make it, you might end up just like not wanting to continue to restart later. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
just follow what you what your inspirations are, and the style that you prefer to play off the top, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah. Another part of that, more on the business side, an experience of mine was make sure you have your stuff together, because if you don't have all of your royalty streams, all of your business model stuff written down, and you make sure you know exactly which associations you're a part of and stuff, can really come back to bite you in the butt. I was very lucky because my mom actually really helped me out when I was first starting out by signing me up for SOCAN, signing me up for all these associations. But then I got a few years down the line when I started to take over, and it was kind of like, so wait, which ones am I signed up for? Which one? Where am I collecting my royalties from? And so it kind of got all jumbled up in that 10-year span. So of course there is the more inspirational, stay true to yourself, definitely. But that's something that I learned is have your business shit together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's, I think as musicians, we kind of, sometimes a lot of us are not business minded people just because we're so like artsy and dreamy, and we're like, I don't need to sign up for this, I'm fine, right? But I think it can definitely help to have like either, like you said, Olivia, like a mom or like a friend or some sort of, even like a manager, someone to just really kind of help you set down your roots, you know, if you want to take it as professionally as you can.
Like here in Alberta, that's where something like Alberta Music comes into play. Or last summer, I went to the Canada's Music Incubator in Toronto, and my mind was blown because I learned so much. But there's always resources out there. You just have to look for them.
Absolutely. In Ottawa, Chris, do you guys have kind of any sort of support programs to help with, I'm just curious, like, I don't know if you've heard of Alberta Music, but basically it's a membership, but they provide a lot of like networking resources and like helping with, there's like so many things. I can't even list all the things.
Yeah, they do like panels all the time. And stuff.
Yeah.
They're just on Zoom now.
That's so
Right.
cool. So do you guys have anything similar in Ottawa? I'm just kind of curious.
Actually, we do. We have the Ottawa Music Industry Coalition.
Oh, cool.
In awesome. Ottawa, which it sounds like it's pretty much the same thing. So it's a membership. It's like I think it's only like $50 a year, and they started last year giving really small grants for people. Like I had I think it was like $100 grant to go do Canadian Music Week, just to go and check things out. And they do panels. They do songwriting panels and music business panels as well. So
cool.
sounds like a lot of the same thing that Alberta Music does. Yeah,
I like to believe that every kind of province has something like that. I hope, but I haven't been told provinces to know. But
no, I don't think we know, because the Ottawa Music Industry Coalition, at least they used to say that it's the only thing of its kind in Canada.
Oh, really? Wow.
Maybe we're just silly. Or, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we've evolved.
Yeah, that was like last year. When did Alberta Music become a thing? Is that?
Oh, it's been at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would want to say like, I don't know, 10. Yeah, I feel like 10.
But it's definitely been 5 or more.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Who knows?
A lot longer than
Ottawa's.
A lot longer than us.
Well, and I know like with Canadian Music Week, like you were saying, they've been around for a very long time. So I think it's just, it's really important, like you said, Olivia, to check out all your resources and see what your city has to offer. Because I know, or even if your city doesn't have stuff to offer, maybe start up like a musician group, right? And then you meet every month and you guys talk about different things and kind of create your own outlet, right?
Well, yeah, for any artists in Alberta, be with Alberta Music, because they have an office in Calgary and an office in Edmonton that you can drop in at any time. Literally any questions you have. I love the girls there, Carly, Olivia. You just drop in. Like I was having troubles with grants, and I was just like, "Hey, can I come over at lunch? Like I'm really confused." And they're like, "Yeah, come on over." And they like went over everything with me, and they're like, "Anytime."
Yeah, it's really it's really good to have that support, especially if maybe you have a family that's
frozen.
Oh, am I frozen?
Uh-oh.
Oh, you guys are frozen. Okay, hold
How do
on.
we lose Millie?
Hold on.
No, I guess.
This happened last time too. Da, da, da. Okay, hold on.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Am I back?
Oh, you're back.
She's back.
Okay,
You're back.
this totally happened last time too, and I don't know why. It's my Wi-Fi's fine, but
You're not
anyways.
lagging at all. That's weird.
That's so strange. Okay, well, I'm a ghost. I don't remember what I was saying now.
I think we're just wrapping up I don't even remember what the original question was.
That's okay. Anyhow, we'll
Alberta
continue.
Music, other music associations.
Yes. Find your outlets.
And in
All right.
country music, we have CCMAs and ACMAs.
Yeah.
The Alberta Country Music Association and the Canadian Country Music Association. So those are also really great tools.
Totally. And kind of finding with your genre too and your niche, I think too, was really awesome for sure. Okay, so my next question. Okay, now Olivia and Chris, you both mentioned you've been doing this for about 10 years now, which is incredible, first of all. What has kept you motivated to continue to do music for so long? And how have you gotten from starting out as a small artist and then, for example, like Olivia Rose, to winning a country recording of the year last year? How do you keep that motivation and that drive to do it for 10 years? Why don't you start off, Olivia, and then we'll go to Chris.
Sure. For me, it's a little bit different because I was quite young, right? It was kind of all that I knew. And that's because it really did stem from my inspiration. Obviously, I had the insane support from my family and my parents. But I didn't know that to do anything else. Like, I just knew that I loved performing. I knew that I liked writing, and I was lucky enough to have the support from my parents, and not just the support of, you're so great, hun. Yeah, get up on stage and perform. I had the business side of it from my mom, because she really took the time to figure out, okay, my daughter wants to do this. How do I help her make it into a career? So honestly, for me, I did have to give up a lot of stuff, especially being from a really small town. I was coming to Edmonton 2, 3, 4 times a week, and that's 2.5 hours each way. My mom actually drove almost every weekend so I could do open mic nights and co-writes and stuff. And so not being able to hang out with my friends on the weekend, I definitely lost a lot of friends there. And then moving out of my small town to come to Edmonton to go to Victoria School of the Arts, which was the best experience that I could have asked for at 14, was scary, but it really, it pushed me to be like, okay, shit, it's go time. Let's do this. So now, being a little bit older and being kind of more on my own, my mom has stepped back, obviously, because I'm a
You're an adult.
Being able to do it on my own now, I don't know. I think my inspiration comes from my colleagues, I guess you'd say, the other musicians in my field are very supportive. Mm-hmm. And I think for country music, there is a lot of support in Alberta and Canada for it. So there's a lot of grants. There's a lot of things like Project Wild that I did last year. And it's really cool to see someone like Brett Kissel, who grew up 15 minutes away from my small town, to see how he can shape that career and make it what he's at. So there's just so much inspiration that surrounds me with all the other people that I'm watching. And it's like, wait, I want to do that too. How do I make that happen?
I can totally do it too.
Yeah, you kind of you figure it out.
Yeah.
And if it's what you really want to do, you do it. That's not to say that there's definitely down slopes where it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really cool that you mentioned that you had basically inspiration from other country artists like Brett Kissel, for example, and just other people in the music scene. So I think having that main inspiration of other people and being like, they did it and they made it look so easy. Not saying it is, but they make it look easy. So I can totally do it too, right? That's really awesome. And Chris, how about yourself? What's kept you motivated during this long period of time that you've done music?
Well, I just can't imagine myself doing anything else, to be honest.
Yeah.
In this period, I have had part-time jobs, and at one point before I started actually singing, I was working probably half and half, about 20 hours. Well, about half music and about 20 hours a week working for FedEx and some odd jobs, and I just went into an extreme depression like during that year, and decided I got to do music and I got to only do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was a risk to quit all those jobs suddenly, but it ended up working out. Like, if you put all your eggs in one basket, and really, that's a bad analogy, but if you work really hard at one thing, you'll eventually, you'll have success in it one way or another, because that's your number one focus.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it too is taking risks, right? Like, you're not ever really sure that you'll make it or that you'll get far, but I think the only way you can do that and continue for so long is just to continue to taking risks, continue to taking different opportunities, and just really like trying your best. Like, if someone's like, hey, do you want to co-write, and you're like, I don't really know this person, it's like, well, why does that matter? Like, you might as well. This is taking a risk. Exactly. Saying yes to all, like, almost everything. I mean, be careful, obviously. Don't just go into a stranger's house and be like, taking risks, if you don't know them. Yeah, bring your mom or bring your friend. Be careful. For sure. No, but I think it does hold a good point to just really, like you said, Chris, and like you both said, like, really taking risks and opportunities and keeping motivated from other people around you, which I think is super crucial. Now I'm curious to know, what are some challenges you may have faced when you were building your careers, and how did you kind of grow from that, and how did that help you to sustain yourself and be like, okay, I can keep doing this. Like, I had a little hiccup, but how can I move forward from this? So maybe Olivia, do you want to start it off?
That's a really good question. It's hard to remember, I mean, the successes, but it's also sometimes hard to remember what your challenges were, because I don't know, doing this for 10 years, it's like, I don't know, it's just all been a blur. You remember your big, huge, like, successes of, like, me winning my country music award, performing on the Taste of Edmonton stage, and kind of what I mentioned before, definitely with the business side of stuff, royalties and stuff like that, it really wasn't only until like this year / last year that I started collecting some decently okay royalties. And so obviously money was always a challenge for me personally. And I didn't really know how to write or go after the grants and stuff. I just didn't have that knowledge, that mindset. And so my parents were incredible, and we actually used part of my university fund to send me to Toronto for CMI and stuff. They're like, well, it's your education. This is what you're doing. This is your education. So that was incredible. I've always been quite an outgoing person, but I did have to overcome a little bit of stepping out of my comfort zone. When I was younger, I would get up on stage and just sing and not talk, like, at all. Like, I would just stand there and be like, hi, my name's Olivia Rose and I'm gonna sing for you. And then I'd sing and, like, I'd be fine singing, but I just could not do the stage banter. So that was a huge challenge I had to overcome, was how to really put my personality on stage. And that's a huge part of why somebody wants to watch you. They want to see something maybe that they're not, or that they can't do, and you're doing it on stage, right? So confidence was kind of a thing that I had to overcome. I mean, that being said, I got up on the coffee table and performed for anyone that came into our house and stuff like that. But
it's different when there's more than 3 or 4 people.
Really just kind of focusing in on myself and figuring out what I have to do, that kind of self-motivation of what I need to work on. That was a challenge that I'm still overcoming.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it is not always just like a quick fix and everything's fine and you've overcome everything. There's always challenges.
Years of work on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Chris, what's kind of your take on this?
Olivia, like you were saying there, banter.
It's hard.
Honestly, playing in a band as a drummer for years, I'm kind of sitting back there watching what the singer's saying, and I'm like, why are you saying it like that? Why are you talking so quick? Why are you nervous? We've done this so many times. And then I got up on stage and I tried to say the stuff that I kind of planned to talk about, and my words get all jumbled.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll look back at recordings and I'm talking so fast I can't even understand what I'm saying.
I do.
Yep. We've all struggled with that for sure.
Yeah. So that's been one of my more recent challenges for sure.
Yeah.
Other challenges, just doing it for doing it for as long as I have, and kind of being a guy that relies on other people's projects for so many years, drummer in a number of different bands, having bands kind of break up or kind of go on the decline suddenly because you're not really involved in the planning of the band. You're just the guy they call when they have gigs. So just out of the blue, not expecting it, having a band suddenly go from playing twice a month to like we're playing once a year, or we're going on hiatus, and then having a like, hey, I need another band. I need more bands to play in here.
Yeah, totally. And now my last question for you guys, any tips or advice to maybe a newer artist who needs kind of that guidance on how to sustain their music career for the long run? What kind of advice could you give to someone like that? Olivia, do you want to start off?
Sure. Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, find your resources. Find the other people that are in the same genre or in the same kind of boat, like maybe the same amount of following, they're kind of doing the same gigs that you are. Find those people, connect with them, and it'll make your life so much easier. You shouldn't have to do this alone, and you don't have to, because there is so many resources for you out there. Just try and find them, and it's really not that hard. Literally look up your province and then music,
Yeah.
and you'll probably find something. But yeah, I think my main takeaway from building relationships throughout my career is that just talk to people. Go out, introduce yourself, whatever room you're in, try and talk to at least 4 or 5 people in that room and introduce yourself, and connect on Facebook, connect on Instagram, just so you can start to build your web of connections, because you never know when somebody's like, oh shit, I need an opener for this gig. Oh, who was that girl I talked to? Olivia. Let's get her to do that. You know, you never know.
Absolutely.
So I think your main starting point is to create connections.
Totally. That's actually really, really good advice. I really like that you said that. Thank you. If I could say anything to newcomers, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
How about you, Chris?
Honestly, you said it perfectly there.
Guys are two the same.
Yeah. Connect to your scene. Like earlier when I was like back in like 2014, 2013, I actually got a lot of gigs just by going out to pubs and seeing musicians, and a lot we all kind of know each other in the Ottawa scene, but like when you're out there, I've actually gotten gigs just by drinking in a bar. Because like the guy's like, shit, my drummer can't make it next weekend. Oh, Chris, are you available? Like,
perfect.
Yeah. So honestly, just connect yourself to your scene. For original music, open mics are a great place to start.
Yeah. Like
go to as many of those as possible, and introduce yourself to every person that played. Try to talk to every person after they come off stage.
Yeah.
Maybe not immediately, but like but like give them a chance to, yeah. Exactly. Give them a chance to put away their guitar.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too, because I know I've seen a lot of artists in the past that have either, like, for whatever reason, they're like, oh, I gotta go, like, I played my set, I gotta go, I got this thing to do. And I'm like, I totally get it, but you know, you're really not getting the most out of it if you're not fully engaging with the whole audience and the artists that played, right? Because that leaves a very huge impression for sure. So I think that's a really good piece of advice as well. All right, everyone. So we're actually all done for the day. Thank you guys for participating and being here. I'm glad you had fun. Before we log off, I just wanted to go through each of you individually and just kind of give an outro and where our audience members can find you. What's the best place to find you? So thank you everyone for watching. I'm Millie Rouge from Vienna, Whyte. This is the Roundtable Talk here today, episode 21. We're very, very excited to be here. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell button if you want to be notified about our YouTube shows that come out Monday to Friday. So let's start off with Chris. Do you want to send us off here, Chris?
Yeah, so Chris Zimmerman, singer-songwriter. You can find me on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff under the band name Chris Zimmerman and The Weather, and on Instagram and Facebook at Chris Zimmerman Music.
Awesome. And Olivia?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me today, Millie, both of us. And you can find all of my music on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you stream. It's at Olivia Rose Music, and you'll find me. Same with my Instagram, at @OliviaRose_music, OliviaRoseMusic.com, and at Olivia Rose Music on Twitter.
Awesome. Okay, everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.